Our next guest wrote his latest column about Donald Trump, and he's hoping to still be able to get credentials to Trump's campaign events. After Donald Trump announced that he was banning the Washington Post from his rallies, media columnist for the New York Times, Jim Rutenberg, published a story, came out yesterday, on Trump's role as the media punisher-in-chief. Rutenberg himself, there he is, Jim, hey-o.
Oh.
Thanks for coming on the show, is with us here. So tell us about these encounters, these telephonic encounters you've been having with Donald Trump.
Well, I'll tell you that, and I've been covering politics not as long as you esteemed gentlemen, but quite a long time. And I've never had a situation like this where you call and you say, what's the strategy? What's the thinking? Let me talk to your pollster or your ad person. And no, Mr. Trump will call you momentarily. And there he is on the phone.
So this is a hard thing for press because we don't like to be part of the story, but the Washington Post now is absolutely part of the story.
Yes.
Is in your sense of talking to Trump for a while about this, did you get the sense that he appreciates the balance of freedom of the press that's going on here, or is he just unapologetically, his view is, I can kick anybody else I want, these are private events?
I think it's somewhere in between. Right? He's unapologetic. He's actually doubling down, and he told me the New York Times might be next on his list. His thing, and it definitely plays to a crowd, however I think he thinks it, I don't think this is all strategy, is if they're not being fair, if I don't like what they're writing, and I think I'll take a bad story, but if I think it's unfair or I think it's inaccurate, then I have the right to cut them off as a candidate.
But he's just working the refs, right? He's just trying to intimidate people. I know some of his supporters like it, but isn't this an attempt to try to intimidate reporters from writing negative stories?
All of my programming as a reporter and all of my experience as a reporter would say yes. Yeah. But again, with Donald Trump, I never know because he definitely seems to be, there's some emotion involved and he seems to get angry and it seems genuine at the same time, but maybe he's also a showman, so I don't know.
Jim, you asked the obvious question, which is asked him whether he would impose similar kinds of bans, do similar things if he were elected president of the United States. Right. Trump came back and he said that's different from me taking something away. There, I'm taking something away where I'm representing the nation. I don't really understand the quotes, but he basically is saying they were kind of hard to parse what he was actually saying. But I seem to think what he was saying was, "I'll be different when I'm president."
Public versus private.
Public versus private. He said something about that these are events held on private property, et cetera, et cetera. Well, did you have any sense that we should believe him? That he would suddenly be a different person if he were president of the United States, and that he wouldn't try to intimidate the press in this way?
What's the line in those stock commercials, like past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results? I don't know.
Jim Cramer, welcome to the set.
I mean, you guys have, is he around? You guys have a story today where Republicans in the Senate said we thought after he sort of was all but the presumed nominee, he would change his behavior. He didn't. They feel disappointed. So that's a case where he said he was going to get so presidential we wouldn't believe it, and he didn't. But, he says the White House will be different. He's right. And what he meant to say was, I'm representing the nation, not myself. Right. Is what he was meant to say.
Would you like to see other news organizations, including yours and ours, say, if the Washington Post and others are going to be denied credentials in solidarity, we won't cover you?
I thought about that when I was writing this column. Would I think that? And I guess I sort of don't. We should have solidarity. He should let the Post cover him, and we should all make a lot of noise about it. At the same time, we can't cut off covering the presumed nominee of one of the two major parties or any major party. I mean, it doesn't. If the third party candidate shows up, you have to cover him. So, if our credentials are taken away, so be it. And we stand by the Post, and I support the Post personally in this.
Do you subscribe?
I do subscribe.
Okay.
Do you think, real quick, Jim, do you think that Trump, do you think Trump has any sense that when he threatens Jeff Bezos the way he does, that he might be over a line? Real quick.
I think that is, and I'd asked him this, I think it's chilling. And I told him, don't you think this is chilling? I do think it's chilling. I told him that. That's why I ended the column, B-R-R-R-R.